The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Oh yeah, we're back at Flesh Wound After Dark.
It looked like you're feeling yourself up, Dan. Sorry, it threw me off. You were
Yeah,
like, "Oh, it's Flesh Wound After Dark."
You know what it was? We've recorded other things today, and my voice I think is going. I can't do sexy voice after a while.
I don't think you ever could, Dan. But
I have a very soothing voice, Todd. I think so.
then
Personally,
you need to be making your ASMR money, Dan.
I'll do some ASMR. You know what? Maybe I'll just start an ASMR channel and build an ASMR empire. I still don't fully understand what it is, but
So you're gonna create content.
isn't it just like noises to make you go to sleep?
I mean, that's like part of it, yeah.
I don't know, but then it's like weird stuff like people cutting food or something. Like it's like what is that doing for you right now? I don't understand
If
this.
if it's a sound they like,
Yeah, so it's like I'm like, is this a sexual thing or is this a sleeping thing? I'm confused.
I think there's both. I think it just depends. I think there's some
Okay.
people who look at it for that, and there's different stuff. And then I think there's the sleeping kind.
Well, whatever works. As long as you pay me, I don't care. I will ASMR.
Those I am not even lying. Those channels. Well, you know why are we even talking?
They're huge.
I know.
Flesh Wound ASMR coming soon.
Huh?
Yes, we'll make that happen. So tonight we are going to be talking about Assault of the Party Nerds and its sequel, Assault of the Party Nerds 2, Heavy Petting Detective. And this is, of course, the beautiful new Blu-ray double feature from Culture Shock, which right there, absolutely gorgeous. We're going to be doing a lot of geeking out, I suspect, on these films. I feel like anytime we do like sex comedies, it's like, yeah, well, you all know probably how we feel about them, but you never know. You never know. At one point, maybe we'll surprise you and absolutely hate on something, but
And I will throw this out there. If you haven't seen him, this one is streaming on both Freevee and Fossum, so you can check it out.
okay,
Also,
awesome.
no,
So
Fossum.
awesome. Okay, awesome.
I know you were saying awesome. I get it. I was just
Well, I know where I saw him. USA Up All Night,
yeah.
which we've covered a lot that has appeared on USA Up All Night, but I think these were staples. These were heavy staples, and of course, Rhonda Shear, who was in one of them, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But our first film from 1989 and writer-director Richard Gabai is Assault of the Party Nerds. And in this film, Richie Spencer and his friends have a problem. They are the only four members of their fraternity, and they're all graduating. They must find a way to bring in more members before they leave and dodge their way around the rival jock fraternity. So once again, these were USA Up All Night staples. I know it was even a winner of the B Movie Awards hosted by Rhonda Shear and Gilbert Godfrey. Best attempt to score in a B movie. So Richard Gabai maybe never got that Oscar yet, but he got something more important and more prestigious, in my opinion. This kind of the genesis of this one after Richard Gabai wrapped Nightmare Sisters for director David Dakota. He decided he wanted to do a knockoff of Revenge of the Nerds and raised $40,000 and made it happen. Richard Gabai does a lot on this movie. He's the writer, director, star. He also did music, which his band, the Czechs, still plays to this day, which I think is awesome. And there's a CD included in this Culture
There
Shock
is.
Blu-ray, so they give you quite a bit. I actually like his music quite a lot. I think it's on or going to be on Spotify now and all of the different platforms for music. So yeah, very, very cool. Good deal of this was shot at USC. I've always said, going back and looking at these movies now, which I grew up on this, so I fucking love these movies. No spoiler there. Some of them are not really what I would classify as nerds. It doesn't go quite like you watch Revenge of the Nerds, and it's like, okay, that's the stereotypical nerd. Some of them,
Some would argue those are the cartoonishly stereotypical nerds, and these are closer to actual nerds.
this is true, but like you go back, like I mean, you Poindexter existed. You know what I mean? Like yeah.
Well,
It,
there's
it,
arguments that Lamar wouldn't be with the nerds either.
this is true.
There's a lot of things going into.
I get it. I get it. But this movie was a big part of my childhood. I remember seeing it on USA Up All Night. I had the, if I recall, Prism home videotape, which got a lot of play. Because, I mean, this movie has both Linnea Quigley and Michelle Bauer as Muffin and Bambi. So, you know, like I was going to be in love with this no matter what. No Brink, though. A little disappointed.
Thank God.
I thought, what do you mean, thank God, Todd? Shut your fucking mouth, Todd. You can't talk shit about Brink Stevens on this show.
I'm just
The best one.
I'm just I'm just doing it to get under your skin, but Michelle Bauer, and honestly, we didn't bring it up in another show. Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, I'll save it.
The pregnant Michelle Bauer, she was 6 months pregnant on this movie, which is
you know what? The nipples give it away. I didn't know that, but I knew that.
In retrospect, yes. I don't think I picked up on any of that then. Although I feel like I probably saw her titties enough at that point to be able to say, wait a minute, actually something is a little bit different here. But
that's funny. I didn't know she was, but that's the first thing I thought when I saw her topless.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, she's pregnant.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. This movie's hilarious. I forgot about some of the lines in here that definitely would not be written today. What was I can't remember who said it, but I wish I was one of those kids that got you know what? They each got $1 million when he's watching like that court show, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ. I also like when Bud and Muffin are getting it on, and she's like, oh Bud, I want to swallow all your little Wrigley things.
Oh, I was dying.
I don't know how she delivered that line without laughing her ass off. These are kind of, I would even go as far as to say the quintessential USA Up All Night movies. I think they are actually better than most of the films that aired on USA Up All Night. Very few of which I don't like, but you know, nonetheless, I will say this is better put together. More low budget, honestly, like looking at the special features and everything now than I thought it was. I mean, I never thought of it as a small movie or anything like that. I mean, Troy Donahue's in it, you know, the heartthrob of his era. But yeah, it's again, I say it probably hasn't aged well for certain people. I think it's aged perfectly for us because it's even funnier now than it was then. There's kind of a twist to this one, which was not typical at the time. They don't get too mean about it, but I do think it was pretty funny. And yeah, what do you think about this one, Todd? Do you remember when you first saw it? Did you see it on USA Up All Night? Did you get the Prism tape?
No, I rented it for most of the. See, it's funny with Up All Night. I check it just to see if it was something like I hadn't seen. or if there was some trauma stuff on, because a lot of times Rhonda had Lloyd on,
yeah.
and Lisa Gay would like there'd be. So that was like my main thing about watching, because honestly I didn't like watching the uncut ones, although I do very distinctly remember watching Getting Lucky on that uncut for the first time, and it still had the, well, we'll eventually talk about that one, I'm sure. Did we already talk about it?
We did Getting Lucky.
Yeah, there was just like the scene in the when he's hanging out in the pubes.
Yeah, the pube scene.
I was like, this is on USA. Okay.
I don't know if you would get it as a kid necessarily, but yeah, that is an iconic scene. But yeah, no, typical sex comedy story.
Again, yeah.
Richard Gabay is kind of perfect for this role. I mean, again, I get it, like a nerd, but not. Like Robert Carradine is like the image you have.
Well, but see, he's kind of, and I'm gonna go with like this. He's kind of the more outcast than nerd.
Outcast, yeah, more.
He's more Booger than Poindexter.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I've always argued Booger was way too cool to be one of the
nerds. And this is a must-see for Michelle Bauer and Linnea. They have great chemistry together. They're hilarious. I don't think they get enough credit for how good of comedic actresses that they really are. And yeah, would have liked to have seen Brink in here somewhere, but maybe if we get Assault of the Party Nerds 3, who knows? But yeah, no permits. It's also kind of a love letter to an LA that doesn't exist anymore. The driving scenes where we're just going through and it's like, oh, that's not there. That's not there. Most of it's not there. It's kind of sad. And Richard Gabay also kind of reminisces about a lot of that in the special features. This aired on TBS. They're the type of movies that when I saw them at the time, I mean, I knew the difference between these huge movies that I would see in theaters versus, stuff I would see on USA Up All Night. Like I realized, like, I always thought for a while that I was like a lone weirdo, that the only person that knew that these movies existed. And it's funny, when it does come out on Blu-ray, you realize, fuck, there's a lot of fans of Assault of the Party Nerds.
No, I think it's just there's a lot of weirdos. I think you
well, weirdos and people that saw and loved these movies. And I think this one holds up. The music's great, the perfect vibe. Michelle Bauer is fucking just adorable in this, and yeah, it holds up. I say it all the time, funnier now than it was then. I adore this movie. It's always a love fest. You have the less to say when it's kind of a love fest like this, but I really don't have any criticisms. I think, you have the elite level sex comedies like Bachelor Party, Private School, Revenge of the Nerds, etc. But this is like right up there. I mean, it's maybe arguably some of the kings of the lower budgeted sex comedies. And yeah, what do you think, Todd? Where are you at on this one?
No, I like I said, it's one of those that I do love, and if I'm rating it, I'm a 5. I do love this one.
I'm a 5 too. Broken record. I can't. I'm just like racking my brain. It's like, what doesn't work in this movie? And I'm like, I think it all works quite well. I don't think anybody was off. I like the what was his name? Was it Chip? Or I think. Forgive me, I'm spacing on some of the characters' names, but just that recurring theme is like, I'm gonna kick his ass, and he never does.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like I want that to still like carry over into Assault of the Party Nerds 3. I know that's probably likely never going to happen, but how fucking cool would that be? Richard Gabai still looks like Richard Gabai.
You hate legacy sequels, Dan, yet you're begging for one for Party Nerds.
You know what? It would be lower budget. They could probably still do it. I wouldn't want see the tough thing about it. I don't want it to just be like it's their kids or something. And I know that's hard because like at this point a 50 or 60-year-old person like still behaving the same way and doing a sex comedy, that's kind of tough, but I just want them all back.
Well, we'll see how they pull off American Funeral.
Yeah, is that official now, by the way?
It seems like it's
Okay.
happening. So
I mean, I fully believe we're getting another American Pie, but like I don't know, because didn't they already address, because it's Eugene Levy's wife, right?
no, it's Stifler's mom. Stifler's
They can't
that's
kill Stifler's mom.
well, it would be an excuse to get everyone back, and it kind of eliminates the problem what to do with shit brick. It's better than Eugene Levy. That's my thing. But
You can't kill Stifler's mom because then she can't get naked finally.
well, you know that wasn't going to happen anyway.
You know what? Cash that check and make it fucking happen.
Okay, well,
I'll
Jennifer
go see it
Coolidge is
3
still
times.
she's not Dana Plato where she does not
$1 million, Jennifer Coolidge, on top of your salary to drop them puppies.
I think they would have had a better shot in the first one. She was still young enough, as you get older, less likely.
I'm sure they're still very nice, Todd. But
I'm not saying I'm just saying if that's your only reason for wanting her back,
it's
anyway.
not my only reason for wanting her back. Well, honestly, too, like I think she adds a lot. Although she didn't have a ton of screen time.
The thing with her is it got to the point trying to find something to do with her.
Is the story going to be she got like fucked to death or something? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know, Dan. It's all
I
speculation.
want Stifler to be Stifler. I know this is a side conversation, but it still ties into this. Stifler's got to be Stifler still. Like I don't want Stifler to
I
grow.
think that's the point. Well, I think it's to see him. It's the perfect time to drop him into modern world. That's where we're at right now, and I think that's what it'll be.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm leery, but I'll be there day one. I have a bad feeling about what we might get, but
you have to remember, it really hasn't been a sex comedy truly since the third film.
well, the sex comedies we get now on the big screen, and if you want to qualify them, it's always like women, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well,
women don't have any like. See, I've had people argue and get mad.
I'm going to argue because women are just as horny. They're the ones who own.
Of course they are. But they have no problem getting laid.
Okay, see, if that's the only thing you need from a sex comedy, see, that's different.
It's a different type of sex comedy. Like I get it. Like certain things can still be awkward, but when you're like the last American Pie, I'm sorry to sound like the sexist pig, but that doesn't work. Those girls were good looking, and they were telling the story the same way. It's like we can't get laid. Bullshit.
Yeah, that's a bad example because that movie was just not. Yeah,
it doesn't work. But there's others.
But no. The mainstream sex comedies that are not doing it, they're not. Most mainstream female sex comedies aren't trying. Oh, I can't get laid. That's not what the humor is. It's not that. Those don't work for the reasons you mentioned. But there are still sex comedies to tell with female that doesn't necessarily have to be about them not being able to get laid. There's still other sex stuff to be humorous about. I mean, that's the difference. Like, if you're thinking a sex comedy has to be, the nerd who can't get laid.
But either way, they're more miss than hit because they're always afraid of going certain places.
I don't have any specific examples, so
I feel like a traditional sex comedy, and maybe now's the time to do it because I feel some people are like just calming down about certain things. Just put one out, make it totally old school, Some people are gonna bitch. I don't think it'll hurt the box office.
I think the problem is unless it's a period film, it doesn't make sense. No, who wants to see a Gen Z sex millennial or not millennial Gen Z sex
I'm
comedy?
gonna push back on that a little bit because I think number one, I think they're more awkward than they've ever been. So, like those types of like characters, some of the stuff that might have seemed like a little bit like ridiculous and over the top in the 80s or even 90s. I'm like, that probably is that kid now.
Yeah, but they're just they're also again. I'm not.
You can bitch about it. I'm bitching about it.
No, it should be period. I mean, that's the only way I think you're gonna get a good sex comedy because they have to be too PC if it's now. They can get away with more if it's period, I think.
Can you imagine the reaction, like some of the stuff, like Revenge of the Nerds, the cameras in the showers, and you just put it out right now?
Yeah.
I don't think it would hurt the box office, is all I'm saying. I think we might be at that point where if somebody did like a totally traditional one, period or not, just traditional sex comedy, I think the appetite might be there right now for it. Yes, some people are going to bitch, but
I see. Here's the thing. It's going to flop.
I don't see
everything flops. That's not, it's comedies aren't making money. The exception though, one of them days is one that actually, did well, but in general, everything's not making money. That's the problem. And I don't think the young people that are offended by everything are going to go out and see it.
Not everybody's offended by everything.
But you're right, but I just don't think there's enough.
How many are all, and even that age, I'm not just talking about, 30 somethings like, like me.
Yeah, I get that, but
some are sick of the shit and they just want to laugh.
But those are also the age of the people that don't go to the movies.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm just, I
the
feel
young
like
people
that
drive the box office. That's the problem.
There needs to be an American Pie for this generation, a Porky's for this generation, and I don't think it's impossible. Fuck
yeah, but I don't think
maybe it's a Netflix movie that they push and it catches on. That's fine too.
I mean, the last one, would be super bad. And it's not.
Well, that's 20 years now, but yeah.
But I mean, that's really the last hit. And how much nudity is in it?
Superbad had titties, didn't it? I haven't watched Superbad.
See, that's the thing.
Maybe
it's
not
like,
much. But then we were still getting it.
Something like Project X might qualify also, because technically the party is to have sex. But I mean, it's I don't know. Comedy's hard right now, and with everything flopping at the box office, they need to figure out something before.
Well, you can make these movies cheap. So there you go.
There's too much content. That's the problem. So if it gets dropped on Netflix, like 10 of us are going to give a shit about it, but it's not going to last. Until we have people who want to make art again. It's shit right now. Hollywood in general, people don't. It's corporations making movies, not people who want to fucking make art. And that's what's wrong. And until that's fixed, they're not going to know how to. State of cinema is pretty fucked right now, which is funny. We're getting into this. We're talking about fucking party nerds.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That still makes sense. We get a lot of good movies. It's just, there are certain comedy is kind of dead or
theatrically for it. Yeah, and I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have to, if it's Superbad 2, yeah, that would do good. I'm sure if they finally figured something out.
I just feel like,
but it's
there's that corporate side of it that's not bad though, because it should be about making money, and it's like, but they always worry about offending people. What is going to happen if you put out like
Revenge of the Nerds the corporate side? They're going to, because they're protecting their brand.
But that also feeds the people going out to see it. You tell somebody it's naughty and you shouldn't watch it.
But that's not the way the corporations will ever let it be.
Well, I don't know. I think things could be in a state of flux right now. We'll see. It'll take a few years to judge that, but I want the sex comedy back, Todd. Maybe we got to make one. Maybe that's it. We talk horror. Maybe we need to make a sex comedy. We need to take a shot at it. But side rant, sorry, but it made sense for this topic. So up next, we have our sequel, which took a while to get made because it's 1995. Also, writer director Richard Gabai, and it is Assault of the Party Nerds 2: Heavy Petting Detective. And in this film, 5 years after throwing a killer party and stealing Muffin away from alpha male Zeta frat member Bud, head party nerd Richie is married and runs a detective agency. To elaborate a little bit more on this one, I mean, this is kind of the Nerds at Work film, although I think it's better than that. Revenge of the Nerds was a tough one because it wasn't the same. After that first movie, the decrease was huge.
I still love 2. 2 is a fun movie.
I like 2 a lot. Do I love it? I don't know that I love it.
I do. I will say that. Beyond that, it's garbage.
Like it.
2 is also one of my first movies theatrically. I just went and saw by myself. That's actually the very first movie. I was just like, I'm going ride my bike and I'm going to go watch Revenge of the Nerds 2. So it does have that added soft spot nostalgia for me.
Yeah, I get that. I get the nostalgia. Same thing with some of the Police Academy movies. I understand.
There's only 3 good ones of those. 1, 2, and 4. That's it.
Yeah, but you know what? And I would totally agree with that now. I mean, 1 is leaps and bounds better than any of the sequels, but I still had
2 is so also though.
2's good. Yeah, no, again, it's by the time you get to, I mean, yeah, the 7's trash.
But. Yeah. 2 is also a very LA movie. Also, that's what I do like about it. I mean, you go to the old zoo, now, still there, haunted, but Bobcat. But
yeah. And so we do add some stars in Heavy Petting Detective. We've got Rhonda Shear, who pops up in this. It again makes sense. USA Up All Night. I know there's been a lot of talk lately about it coming back, which I always said it'd be cool to bring it back and just have the unedited movies.
Yeah. Well, that if you look, that's a thing. Yeah, it's. I really wish like Joe Bob would get to do stuff other than horror. So Up All Night is, because Monster Vision, Up All Night, they were a little closer. I mean, they are, Joe Bob's. I like when he just does other stuff, and Up All Night was exclusively. I just wish he was able to do some of the, because he's just as knowledgeable about that.
It's hard on Shudder. Like, I don't know if Shudder could make an exception for like some Joe Bob stuff, and like, I get it. It's weird. It's like when Sci-Fi Channel started airing James Bond movies. It's like it's against brand, but I agree. I would like to see like Joe Bob do some random action and sex comedy type stuff. I think it would open it up. But anyways, she's in here. She's adorable. We get Burt Ward, who is collaborated with Richard Gabai on other projects, and his wife, his real life wife to this day, Tracy Posner, who's with him in this movie, is in this. We get Tani McClure once again as Heidi. She plays the slutty secretary in this one, who obviously Bud has no interest in. As we've seen because of previous events in the other movies. Gloria Perez pops up. We have a great cast as always. Michelle Bauer and Linnea Quigley are back and adorable as ever. There is a fun story that Richard Gabai tells. He got to meet Burt Ward when they were doing press for the Batman and Robin movie, going to different theaters. A very young Richard Gabai was taken by his dad to meet him, and then they made movies together. You can tell this one has a little bit more money to play with. I think this one was shot in like 9 days, and yeah, you can. Professional's not really the word, because I mean, Assault of the Party Nerds, I think, was very well made on a low budget, but
I agree.
But you can tell that this is the bigger movie. And I think Burt Ward is really funny in this. Tane McClure, I keep saying Tane is how you say it. She's always kind of a show stealer, and what a weird career. Legally Blonde, the mom.
Yeah.
You're looking at some of the movies she's making, and somehow she managed to have that mainstream success in those movies. She was in both of them, I believe. Bambi's running a nail salon now. I think this one's more successful because you are still doing a sex comedy where everybody's grown up, even though they were, the actors were more than grown up in those movies, in the first movie. I like it. There's some in-jokes about like the hot babe on USA Up All Night. I thought that was pretty funny. It's still we still have we still have our character threatening to beat his ass. It never happens. We're getting a little bit later here, but I still think they recapture the charm and magic of the first one, which is not always the case. I mean, we mentioned like some of the American Pie movies, and it's like when we get to like the last theatrical one, it's tough because when you are older, it's kind of hard to make this formula work.
Yeah, not to go back to those. With them, they had to kind of morph into, because as you're growing older, it's more about the characters. So I get why which I never complained about that, and that the theatrical films, because it makes sense. They're not doing the same shit, but you get in the wacky situations, which has always been a hallmark. But
I thought one of the funnier scenes in here is when Richard Gabai dresses up and goes into the gym, and the guy's like really into him. I thought that was funny. And it still kind of works. I mean, the whole thing, trying to protect the old frat, the rivals trying to buy it, challenging again, because 6 years between this and the first one, and that's a long time.
And I didn't see it. This was one that came out in 95, which I've mentioned before. I wasn't watching as much movies. So I didn't see this till the DVD, with the double feature DVD came out, and I don't remember what year that was. That's probably at least 2000.
Oh yeah, well,
maybe later.
It's been over 20 years probably since the DVD.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I could see you missing it at that point. I think Gabai even talks a little bit too. It's like, yeah, I might have been smart to get a sequel made right away.
Well, I mean, and honestly, I didn't know it was Party Nerds 2, because the tape was the Heavy Petting Detective with no mention on the front or anything. So
it is a long time in between. It really is. But
and honestly, if you just rented the Heavy Petting Detective, I think you would have been fine. You wouldn't have been lost. You get that crawl at the beginning too.
Yeah,
Star Wars crawl.
Getting you all caught up. But still, like I said, bit more of a budget to play with, but still, like this, there's a sex scene that was shot in his parents' bed. Like they're still, making these movies happen how they have to. And big part of my childhood, man. I was also very keenly aware that, like, yes, USA Up All Night, I'm there for Rhonda, I'm there for Gilbert. And if I knew it was airing there, I could go rent it and see the titties. So I don't know that you could bring it back without Gilbert, if I'm being honest. And I love Rhonda, but
I think you could. I think I always thought they were different. I mean, I didn't think they were different shows, but they both had their own style.
They did. It's I don't know. It's sad. Gilbert was just such a unique individual, but and one of the just most genuinely funny human beings that I think ever lived. Gilbert Gottfried, Don Rickles, like any era, those were just funny motherfuckers. And yeah, but hopefully you've enjoyed all our side conversations. I am a 5 on this movie as well.
Yeah,
Call it a
100% 5 for me too.
nostalgia pop, whatever. I love them. And I highly recommend picking this up from Culture Shock. I think they did a great job. There are 2 commentaries for each film, which have all the information that you could ever hope to have on these films. It's always nice hearing from Michelle Bauer, and she was my number 2 out of the 3. I'm weird. Everybody's like Linnea, and I know Linnea had the most iconic movies of the 3, but Brink Stevens, Michelle Bauer, Linnea for me. And yeah,
I'm Michelle.
okay.
And last, you know who last is.
So you're Michelle, Linnea, and Brink. Okay,
And that's not. That's not. You know what? I probably won't come up again whenever we get to Bikini Drive-In, but I've come to the realization, like, and I kind of already known this. I think women in their 30s, when they hit their 30s, they're most beautiful, because I can really notice that, like Bikini Drive-In, how beautiful Michelle Bauer is. She's in her 30s at that point, but that just could be because I'm getting old now. I'm like 30s is peak woman.
You can make a case nowadays. It's weird though, like 40s, even 50s.
Well, no,
women
I didn't say
still
that.
look
No,
good.
they still look beautiful. Oh, you want me to go full on?
Well, I'll
I
throw
said-
out a name for you, Nina Hartley. Now, I'm not saying,
But see, I've
2025
never thought she
Nina
was
Hartley.
attractive. We've gone that you're using a horrible.
But if
example.
you go back to like early, the 2000s era, I might say she was more attractive than she was in the 80s and 90s.
I see, I have nothing to say because I've never had any attraction towards her.
But I think even you might agree.
No,
like,
I can't.
I'd take her in 2000 versus,
No, I wouldn't take her to any.
Damn, Todd.
I
Mr. Picky. I think Nina Hartley's
No,
rolling up on 1995 Todd when he wasn't watching stuff like Heavy Petting Detective.
okay. There's Dan. There's a
No.
difference between something being presented to you in real life, because men are pigs, and holes are holes. So that's just like using the logic of the women. Well, and they can just get any spread their. It's the opposite. Yeah, you could just throw it at a man, and he's probably going to take it. So I mean, well, a single man, I'll say that. So
Yeah.
you see my point. So that's not working with it. I'm just saying, for me, I kind of have come to that. Also, women 20s, they're a little bit sexually. 30s, they're open. That's
Yeah, I
30 is they're still young, and that's not saying women in their 40s can't be, especially now. My generation, starting like Gen X and millennials, we don't look like the boomers and before. I mean,
yeah. A woman hit 50, like, you're a little more frumpy.
Look at the cast of Golden Girls. They were all like 40s,
and they're in an age
50s.
where they still have booming porn careers now.
100%. So it's like just one of those. It's, and people have tried to put their finger on it. I think it's all the preservatives in the food. It's preserving us, so we look younger longer.
Yay, preservatives.
I mean, what else? that's one of my
You
theories.
could have seen Blanche getting dicked down. You ever wanted to see BR?
This show's a lot more just off topic than I expected tonight.
They're sex comedies. Like I said, the plots are always the same. I don't even bother breaking down the plots anymore. Yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed our side bullshit. But I do highly recommend this. And look, we've talked about it. There's a lot of sex comedies that haven't even made it to DVD, let alone Blu-ray.
And I will say, if you do want to check this one out, as I mentioned on the other one, this one's on Fossum and Plex, both with ads. I'm not sure about Fossum. I believe Fossum's a new subscribing one.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
But
no,
supporting
it's free. I just went and it's playing. So
Yeah, check
Okay.
it out if you want. But support physical media. Some
Yeah.
of this stuff, like I said, we're getting to the point where it's kind of now or never if we want to see it ever. I
Yeah.
mean, look, I take DVD for some of this stuff.
And I will. Well, we already had a DVD of this, so we were good.
Well,
But
this, yeah.
yeah, I will say with this one also that oh, I just lost. I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay. That's okay. So guys, let us know. Did you discover these on USA Up All Night? Did you have the Prism tape for the first one? Share your memories. What are some of your favorite sex comedies in the comments on this video? And also Flesh Wound Feet or patreon.com/Flesh Wound Features. That all starts at just $1. We don't do super chats here, so we appreciate it. And we give you a lot on there, lots of exclusive uncensored content, some of which will never be on the main YouTube channel. So check that out. Link in the description.
I remembered. I was just going to say, as of recording, this is right around 500 units left on physical media from TerraVision.com. So if you want to grab it and support and hopefully keep this line going, because this is the second in the line. The first one was Virgin High and
Hot Under the Collar.
Hot Under the Collar.
Yeah, maybe, like I said, more sex comedies. There's a lot out there that's not been mined yet. So
maybe we'll get one of them. Maybe the next volume will have a different star because he's been in every one so far.
Hopefully more coming too. Richard Gabai's done some good stuff, cross genre too. So
so far it seems like he's the only one allowed on the line. Not that I'm complaining, because I'll take more.
Yeah, they seem to be selling well. Now, is that a sellout of just a slip, or is that like just?
I don't know if it is like that's it. That's because sometimes it's worded such a way. It's like I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna double check right now since.
Either way, I mean,
yeah. As of this recording, 474 in stock. Again, I don't know. It may just be. It doesn't really get any kind of specifics.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know, but there still is.
Well, like I said, the commentary tracks alone, just hearing them go down memory lane, and there's all the retro USA Up All Night stuffs on there, the B Movie Awards clips and everything. The interviews are ported over. It's a very impressive release. Certainly one of the best releases of the year so far, and probably at the end of the year as well. So check that out. Packaging and everything would be a 5 as well. So.
Yeah.
So we love these films here at Flesh Wound. On that note, I think that's all I got. So we will see you guys back here next time. Check out all our other After Dark content on the channel. Good night.
Money's on the dresser.